quite rare for an artist or a painter to ever really achieve this, but it felt like you'd reached out from the frame and grabbed me round the throat. It was a very troubling couple of minutes, because I realised what I was missing, and in one extraordinary painting of the Welsh coast, I had immediately become even more unsettled, and a couple of weeks later jacked the job in and come home. And it was an extraordinary piece of time for me, because I, until then, had never really understood that terrible hackneyed phrase, the power of art. But then I understood, and I think you have an extraordinary talent, and I know that everybody here doesn't really need me to explain that. So I have my own personal story about connecting with you from a relatively early age. I also think there's something incredibly important about your work now, as someone who's spent years documenting the Welsh landscape on television and radio, and that is you are capturing the most extraordinary historic period of not just the UK, but of Europe. Almost wherever you go in the world, and I got back from Berlin last night after a week of working in Germany, wherever you go in the world, the landscapes that we've grown up with are changing at the most ferocious speed, and whether you live in Swansea and you're getting ready perhaps to watch a seascape that hasn't changed for 1,000 years, getting ready to watch that change, or if you live in Llandudno, you've had to get used to a seascape that has remained the same for forever and ever, now peppered with 100 turbines. You're doing a remarkable work in capturing this changing landscape, and it's something that perhaps people don't always think about. There's one other thing that I'm not going to talk on for long, but there's one other thing that I really want to say, and that is, as someone who's spent a lot of time over the last few months writing things about Cuffin and then John Nat Fisher and dear Gwilym, who passed away a few weeks ago, is that people like us really should occasionally take a moment while you great artists are still knocking around to say thank you while you're still here to hear it.
Yeah,
rush out, when it's too late and say, my God, this guy was great, and he was a great chronicler of our times. It's too late by then. So I perhaps think what's most appropriate is we gather here today and pay tribute to you and say, as someone who works in television news, who has largely built a career out of making people miserable, telling them things they don't really want to hear about politics and news and corruption and how dreadful this is and how dreadful that is, we owe a great debt to you for making our lives happier and enriching our lives and celebrating our lives. And there are very few people, I think, in life who can genuinely say, I'm in the business of happiness. Apart from you and Ken Dodd, perhaps. But it is a great gift, and sometimes we don't always stop and think about it. So, as someone who is in the misery business, a tribute to someone who's in the happiness business, thank you very much. But I think often landscape artists, certainly in the UK, are often thought of as people who do easy work, and landscapes are easier, aren't they? There's something I've always found rather unsettling about your work, not just because it unsettled me in my career many, many years ago, but as someone who's Welsh and walked over many of these beaches, I often look at what I think is the enigma in your work. There is often an uncertainty, there is often a coldness, and I look at things like people on beaches and couples walking down the sand. Sometimes in my happier moments I think, that's wonderful, they're in love, what a great moment captured on canvas. And other times I wonder whether or not it's the last walk. And I think the ability to write in that sense of enigma to so much of your work is what makes you truly one of our great artists. So without prattling on any further, and all of this incidentally without an autocue, today it gives me very great pleasure to wish you a happy belated birthday, a happy anniversary for this milestone in painting, and congratulations on what I all think we will agree is the most wonderful exhibition. So ladies and gentlemen, raise your glasses to Gareth.
To Gareth.
Go make a speech now.
No. Leave that for those who are part of it. Thank you. No, that definitely wouldn't happen. No, like, definitely not really.